A life-saving moment for the first time. An East Tennessee woman shares her story with our Kyla Berry.
Student organizations are losing funding. Boss Dance Company has found ways to overcome the struggles.
And we take a look at a familiar robotic face around campus.
Last week, an event was held to honor people who are unhoused that have lost their lives this year. Thanks for joining us. For TVC News, I'm Lily Van Allsburg.
And I'm Jackson Berg. Our Kyla Berry has been following this story for the past few weeks.
Kyla joins us in the studio.
Weather, violence, and drugs were all a part of the conversation last week. Those are the trends Knox County is seeing with deaths in the homeless population. The average lifespan for an unhoused individual in Knoxville is 48 years old. The Metro Drug Coalition is honoring those who are no longer with us. The Metro Drug Coalition held a candlelight service to honor the homeless who died. One person came to the service, tells me they deserve to be honored.
Deserve help, and that's why we come out, to let folks know there's more help needed.
Metro Drug tells me the cause of all their deaths are due to three things: violence, the cold weather, or overdoses. They tells me it's part of their mission to bring down the number of lives lost from overdoses. Now, these overdoses could have been prevented with a life-saving device called Narcan or naloxone. The CDC reports nearly 80,000 of the 107,000 drug overdose deaths in 2021 involved an opioid. One woman tells me she was given a second chance thanks to Narcan. She shares her story for the first time.
I've been there, where would my life be? Would I be in heaven right now?
Nearly a month ago, Amy Spencer was given a second chance at life right in front of this warming center.
It was an eye-awakening. I had never been Narcan in my life.
Her second chance was given to her with just one click.
Just got out of the hospital that day, and I've been in the hospital for a month, had my finger amputated.
They're not communicating to see if they're breathing.
Brandon Stiles, a regional overdose specialist, is the one who saved her life.
As I got to the door, a gentleman was walking in, and he was like, "There's an overdose over here."
Brandon says she was giving all the signs of an overdose.
Extremely cold. She didn't seem like she was breathing. She wasn't communicating, right? So I pulled her out, took off my jacket, placed it under her head, gave her a dose.
That one dose of naloxone gave Amy a second chance at life and something to help her live it.
There's no other feeling that you can feel besides seeing someone that has lost hope and then seeing the light come back on when they've gained a little bit of hope.
Off Broadway, Ball News, Kyla Berry.
Kyla, where's it available to purchase Narcan?
Jackson, since 2023, Narcan is available over the counter, and one dose runs around $25 at any local drugstore.
Thanks, Kyla. Weather recently in East Tennessee has been very unpredictable. We saw temperatures up to 70 degrees this week, snow last week, and tornado touchdowns the week before. It's hard to know what to do in severe weather events.
Our chief weather specialist, Lauren Zarin, sat down with WVLT's chief meteorologist, Heather Haley, to learn more about weather and weather safety in this region.
With severe weather season quickly approaching, it's important to remember severe weather safety. I had the opportunity to sit down with WVLT's chief meteorologist, Heather Haley. We talked about severe weather and what you should do in a severe weather emergency.
Good morning. 10:34 now, and we are tracking some clouds moving across the state.
Chief Meteorologist Heather Haley is constantly monitoring changes in weather and keeping the Knoxville area informed.
I think being able to give back to my hometown has been the most rewarding part.
Weather seems to be unpredictable in this area recently. We are seeing dramatic changes in temperature and severe weather events.
When you talk about climate changes, weather changes, for example, an overall warming climate now creates some bigger extremes. So that's how we can go from a bigger snow than we normally get in January, and 2 weeks later have a tornado that does touch down.
Heather tells me that some of these unpredictable weather patterns are also caused by the type of terrain we have in East Tennessee.
So there are regions where it is flat and you can see a tornado coming for miles. We don't have storm chasers around here for a reason. It's too hilly, it's too mountainous. Because of that terrain change, you can have these little microclimates that can create a more intense storm, or the opposite. It can also cause a storm to fall apart really fast.
Many UT students don't know what to do in the event of a severe weather emergency like a tornado warning because of how infrequent they have been in the past, especially those who live in apartments or dorms.
If you are under a tornado warning, I would also get to the lower level of the building. So that would be going ahead and getting down into the lobby, for example. And your building management should be able to tell you where your tornado shelter is. They are supposed to have that coordinated so that they can tell you exactly where to go.
Heather also spoke about the challenges of reporting on a severe weather event.
I kind of have to turn off my mom brain in that moment and think in terms of, okay, where is the risk? Who needs to be seeking shelter? Sticking to the basics so that I don't get too emotional, so that I can just keep people informed.
In Knoxville, Lauren Zering, Vol News.
The weather has thankfully been bright this week. Our weather specialist Emma Collard joins us now.
Thanks, guys. Hey Vols, I think we've all definitely felt some warming up here on Rocky Top. Temperatures have been nice and spring-like this week, topping out in the 70s almost every day. This is a map of the current temperature anomaly across the United States. The temperature anomaly is just a measurement that tells us whether we are experiencing hotter or colder temperatures than normal. As you can see, temperatures have been warmer than average across most of the region this week. On Wednesday, Nashville International Airport actually recorded a high temperature of 80 degrees, setting a record for this time in February. While these above average temperatures are a warm welcome after last week's Arctic blast, they are going to help set the stage for some severe weather as we get into next week. So stay tuned for the rundown on what you can expect. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Emma. Starting March 1st, some changes are coming to how much you will have to pay to park at any meter in downtown Knoxville.
Our Bella Fricks was downtown this week to get you up to speed.
If you are planning a trip to downtown Knoxville, be ready for some changes. The city is rolling out its new parking plan, meaning where and how you park may be a little bit different moving forward.
Garage parking will mostly look the same, with the exception of the Market Square parking garage, which will now have a $3 flat rate on Saturdays. Street parking, however, will look different. 2-hour max parking spaces will now cost $2 instead of $1.50, and long-term parking spaces will now only accommodate up to 4 hours of parking at $1 rate. The city is also moving to a more digital route. Parking meters will be replaced with the Park mobile app, the same as guest parking on UT's campus.
I spoke to over a dozen business owners, residents, and workers in the downtown area, and as of Thursday, February 27th, none of them have been alerted of the parking changes thus far.
These changes are anticipated to occur in the coming weeks. I'm Bella Fricks, TVC News.
The University of Tennessee's undergraduate transfer and continuing scholarship applications are due March 1st for current students.
By completing this application, students will be qualified for a number of university-sponsored scholarships for the next academic year. Hundreds of scholarships are provided to students just through this application and the generous donations made to the school.
It is as simple as Googling onestop.utk.edu, selecting the scholarship dropdown, and clicking the link to Continuing Undergraduate Scholarship. With any scholarship or financial aid questions, reach out to One Stop Services for more assistance. If you've ever tuned in to WUOT radio, you may have heard the familiar voice of UT's very own Pierce Gentry.
An accomplished audio broadcaster and most recently an award winner for the Hearst Journalism Awards. Our Aubrey Curran looked into his unique reporting style, which might look a little different than what you're used to.
Journalism for Pierce Gentry is all about sharing the stories of others. It's not something he ever thought he'd be recognized for. Certainly not something he ever thought he'd be nationally recognized for.
Will have a limited lifespan before it needs to be replaced. Here's Jason Brady of Gresham Smith Engineering.
WUOT radio host Pierce Gentry has a different approach to his reporting.
When you're a good reporter, you don't draw attention to yourself.
Helping him land second place in the audio portion of the National Hearst Award competition.
It's not about you, it's about the people whose stories you're telling.
With his Hurricane Helene coverage helping him achieve this award.
And it was very hard to see all the devastation and the difficulties that people were going through, but it's easily the most memorable moment just because it's the most significant moment in my career so far.
But when tragic reporting comes around, there's one sentence Pierce likes to open with.
I would typically like to start the conversation by asking them if they're okay. and by asking, how they are doing.
A sentence that makes all the difference, according to him.
They just want to be talked to like a person. They don't want to be asked a lot of really technical, jargony questions from a reporter. They just want to be talked to.
And an empathetic approach, one of his longtime mentors, Melanie Pfizer, agrees sets him apart from the rest.
He's got the total package in that his empathy allows him to connect really well with people, but he has the journalist's sort of instinct of, trust but verify.
At the end of the day, it was never about the awards.
It just makes it feel extra special, right? It makes you feel seen. It makes it feel like the work that you're doing has an impact, and that means a lot to me.
But the recognition sure does feel nice. In Knoxville, I'm Aubrey Curran, Vol News.
That's definitely a piece of advice we can all take, and I know I need to take to heart moving forward. Storytelling is a powerful thing, but a privilege at the same time.
To keep up with more of Pierce's work, you can tune in to WUOT at 91.9 FM. At the University of Tennessee, Boss Dance Company is more than just a club. It is a community. For 15 years, Boss has put on an amazing show year after year, bringing students together with their energetic performances and innovative choreography.
But now they have more to worry about than just putting on a spectacular performance. Our own Caitlin Kirkpatrick tells us how they have overcome their funding issues.
Thanks, guys. At the end of last year, many of the performing arts clubs, programs, and companies at the University of Tennessee lost their funding. So despite their success over the past few years, the group has been facing a major setback.
Boss Dance Company is a student-run organization where students can continue their passion for dance.
These dancers have been affected by the loss of funding from the Division of Student Life. Megan Gaskin, the president of Boss Dance Company, tells us that even with the issues, they have found ways to keep going.
This year has just come with a lot of different roadblocks, but honestly been a great learning opportunity for us.
The loss of funding from the university has created major strain for the dancers and choreographers. Natalie Adkins has been the treasurer of Boss for the past 2 years.
It's changed basically the whole trajectory of it. Usually we get an allotted amount of money coming into us every single year, no matter what our outcome is. And this year we are having to raise every single dollar ourselves.
To help the funding issue, Boss has had to hold more percentage nights at local businesses to raise money for the company and even raise their ticket prices.
Honestly, ticket sales have been doing amazing because people love the company so much.
2025 is the first year they've had to charge for admission to the show to help with their fundraising.
But I think what's been really beneficial is that it's really been able to give us a chance to tap into our community and local people who support the company so much. So it's been a great learning opportunity for us.
Boss Dance Company has already raised over $1,000 this year alone, but they want to reach over $3,000 next year.
Their shows are tonight, tomorrow at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m.
Caitlin, how can we support Boss Dance Company?
Go buy a ticket to their shows this weekend. The link can be found on their Instagram at Dance Society UTK.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'll definitely have to grab a ticket. Recently, students from the Haslam College of Business and the Tickle College of Engineering became national champions in the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge. Our Steve Susans caught up with these two students who excel at Excel.
Last December, students from the University of Tennessee competed for the very first time in the Microsoft Excel Collegiate Challenge in the bright lights of Las Vegas, Nevada. The competition pits teams from 75 universities, both here and abroad, testing their abilities to navigate complex Excel scenarios using various cells and formulas to meet the goals of the challenge. The atmosphere of the event was festive, but proved to be intense for the volunteers who were there competing, according to finance major Sarah Chandler.
And they had, walking in and having everything set up. It was like a ticket event. Some people were there. There was a whole crowd. And so it definitely brought the nerves up, but also brought the excitement and a competitive atmosphere. So,
from the 11 students that made the trip for the event, it came down to 3 UT students in the finals, Sarah Chandler, Beckett Anderson, and Ben Northern. The final round saw much more complex scenarios, and the intensity grew for the 3 finalists.
Yeah, it got really intense. Especially to the finals.
So sometimes they can make cases that are doable, but nearly impossible to get done in 30 minutes.
But all that work was worth it when they heard this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset by 20 points. University of Tennessee!
As reigning national champions for the Excel event, preparations are getting underway to defend the title, according to Professor Eric Kelly from the Haslam College of Business, who was one of the mentors for the group.
So next year, it's going to be completely new students. And so they're gradually just kind of training up the next generation, working with them and bringing them into the fold. So it's really, really exciting.
Reporting from the campus of the University of Tennessee, I'm Steve Susans for TVC News.
We wish them the best of luck defending the national championship this year.
If you are worried about the price of rent in Knoxville, then we might have some good news.
Knoxville policymakers spoke about the housing crisis that affects residents in the Knox County and think that their current missing middle housing plan is showing great results. Among the topics discussed were voucher programs and rent-controlled units. The goal is to create at least 6,000 new units, and just last year, the city permitted 1,500 new ones.
Knoxville has a great story of resilience, and we're responding to this housing crisis in a healthy way.
If you want to learn more about their current plans to improve the housing crisis, visit the City of Knoxville's housing website.
When we get back, as always, it's been a very busy week in sports for your Vols.
Your men's basketball team is heading into March. We spoke to one of their analysts just how important that #1 seed is.
And a number of familiar names were invited to the NFL Combine. We take a look at how they did when we get back.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We are the Tennessee Volunteers. People who create connections, push boundaries, do the research that changes lives. We've got world-class academics and championship athletics. To be the best, you gotta learn from the best. And if you wanna lead, you gotta light the way. We've got what it takes. It takes a volunteer.
It's been a busy week in athletics across campus.
We're joined by Samara Carpenter and Jeremy Knopf to bring you guys up to speed. Guys?
Thanks, Jackson. Hello and welcome to the Rocky Top Sports Report. I'm Samara Carpenter.
And I'm Jeremy Knopf II, bringing you up to date on all things sports here on Rocky Top. Let's get started.
Big things happened in swim and dive last week as they have been on a roll with back-to-back wins. The Vols just broke the NCAA record for the fastest 400 free relay time ever. Jordan Crooks brought the Heat to the SEC championship by dominating in the 50 free, winning 4 years in a row for the first time in SEC history. Camille Speak dominated her sweep as well in the 50, 100, and 200 free, becoming the first SEC swimmer to do this since 2007. Brooklyn Daughtwright also shined for the Lady Vols, securing a silver medal with the third fastest time in program history. Overall, the swim and dive team brought home a total of 28 medals, 18 from the Lady Vols and 10 coming from the Vols, also including 5 championships. And the season is not over yet. Both teams are preparing for the NCAA championship in a few weeks. But if you want to catch them, they will be in action in Knoxville today and tomorrow for the last chance meet.
If you're heading down to the Food City Center this Saturday to cheer on the basketballs, make sure that you bring your orange shirt, your orange shoes, whatever you need to activate the orange out when the Alabama Crimson Tide come to town. Coming back home from a solid 65-59 victory against the LSU Tigers, the Volunteers will now suit up for their biggest challenge of the season. Alabama, ranked 6th in the nation, will bring their high-scoring offense that is averaging 91.5 points per game, led by senior talent such as guard Mark Spears and forward Grant Nelson. The Big Orange will be prepared for this match with offensive talent of their own, headlined by Sakai Ziegler, scoring in double digits in 8 consecutive games, and Chaz Lanier, who rebounded 9 times just recently in the Bayou. This top 10 blockbuster goes down on March 1st at the Food City Center, tipping off at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. These 2 hard-fought games put the Vols at a projected 2 seed for the tournament this March.
Our Holland Hines sat down with Patrick Falcon, an analyst from Torch Sports, to explain what the Vols must do going forward to obtain the win.
So starting off simple, Tennessee is in prime position for the 2 seed. How important is it that they get the 1 seed?
I think it's very important. I think once you get down to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, those matchups become increasingly easier as a 1 seed. And right now, Tennessee really needs all the advantages we can get. We haven't had the best luck in March. We've never made a Final Four. And I think if we want to make that final push towards it, being the 1 seed would definitely be a big help. The seedings aren't always perfect, so sometimes the difference between those 4, 5, 6 seeds can actually be, instead of just 4 teams, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8 different teams. So I think getting that 1 seed, playing the worst team possible, will help us a lot.
What does Tennessee have to do to get that 1 seed?
So we have 3 SEC teams fighting for that 1 seed. I think a big step is this Saturday we need to beat Alabama. And I think then in the SEC tournament, we need to prove that we are better than Alabama and Auburn. That means staying in the tournament longer than them and possibly beating them head-to-head, not losing to one of them, because then that's very easy for the committee or whoever's making the rankings. Give them the edge, give them the slight edge. We're that fifth seed, that number 1, 2 seed instead of that last 1 seed.
What's the worst possible outcome for the Vols in the next 2 weeks?
We'll lose every game. But no, I think the loss to Alabama will be big. I think we'll definitely drop. And then if we drop 1 or 2, we go out early in the SEC tournament, we could see ourselves as low as a 3 or 4 seed, to be honest with you.
How confident are you that the Vols can get that 1 seed?
I'm pretty confident. I think, we've showed our guns against Florida. We've showed we can beat them. I know they've also showed they can beat us, so it'll be a good test if we meet again. But Alabama's got a really tough remaining schedule, and I think that win Saturday, if we beat them, they'll have to play Florida, and then they'll have to go down to Auburn. I don't think they win both those games, and I think that Auburn loss, if they suffer that at the end of the year, can help propel us forward to them, especially if we get hot going in the tournament, which we are right now. Chaz Lanier's been playing well, Zakai's been playing well. I think this team's picking up steam at the right time. We're going in the SEC tournament hot. That's prime for 1 seed.
The Lady Volunteers basketball squad had a rough go against Kentucky last night, falling to the Wildcats in Lexington 82-58. However, they did not go down without a fight, with Talasia Cooper putting up 25 points on the board, as well as Z Spearman and Alyssa Latham combining for 13 total rebounds. The last regular season task for Coach Caldwell's Lady Vols will come on Sunday, March 2nd, when the Georgia Lady Bulldogs come to play in the Food City Center.
Earlier this week, the Baseballs finished up their opening stretch of the season and took the field where they faced North Alabama in a very close and intense match. I bet you're wondering what the big news is. Junior pitcher A.J. Russell made his long-awaited return after a tough injury last year in the SEC tournament against Vanderbilt. He made sure this comeback was nothing short of spectacular. He faced 3 batters and struck out every single one. Freshman Tegan Coons also made a strong impression in his first collegiate appearance, pitching a perfect inning and striking out an opponent. Ryan Kraska closed out this game with a strikeout, sealing a thrilling 7-5 victory over North Alabama. Now the Vols are looking to keep that same momentum going tonight in Houston's Astro Arena, where they'll take on number 16 Oklahoma State at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Staying on the diamond, the Lady Vols softball team had their home opener this past Wednesday against Radford. It wasn't until the 3rd and 4th innings that the Lady Vols found their rhythm, scoring 9 runs off 8 hits, including 2 quick home runs from both Sophia Nugent and Taylor Pennell. The Lady Vols closed out the game with a 10-1 victory over Radford. They'll be back at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium tonight at 3 p.m. Eastern to face Delaware State.
The annual NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis kicked off yesterday, and 6 of our football Vols will be taking another step closer to making their wildest gridiron dreams come true. The list of invited Vols is highlighted by the reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Dylan Sampson, coming off a historic season, claiming 22 touchdowns and nearly 1,500 rushing yards. Offensive playmakers joining Sampson in Indy include wide receivers Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton Jr. On the defensive side, tackles Omar Norman Lotz and Elijah Simmons, as well as edge James Pierce Jr. will also have the opportunity to show that they have what it takes to compete in the big leagues. This ultimate test of physical durability will be their one last chance to impress the scouts heading into the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Well, that is all we have for the Rocky Top Sports Report this week.
Thanks so much for watching. Now back to Lily and Jackson.
Thanks, guys.
Stay with us after this because we have more stories for you, one including a new project at UT's College of Emerging and Collaborative Studies.
We will get a special look at some not-so-furry friends you might spot around campus.
And we learn more about what students around campus are doing to prepare for midterms just around the corner. We'll be right back with you.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We are the Tennessee Volunteers. People who create connections, push boundaries, do the research that changes lives. We've got world-class academics and championship athletics. To be the best, you gotta learn from the best. And if you wanna lead, you gotta light the way. We've got what it takes. It takes a volunteer.
Happy Friday, Vols. I hope you're out enjoying the warmth right now because we're definitely going to be riding the temperature roller coaster this weekend. Temperatures started out in the mid-40s this morning and we'll see them top out in the mid to upper 60s this afternoon. Skies will be bright and clear and we should see a nice breeze as well. We should see a similar setup tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the low 60s. We'll have some cold air push through on Saturday night though, bringing temperatures down to a pretty frigid 25 degrees on Sunday morning. Skies will be sunny throughout the day, but temperatures will only top out in the upper 40s. Now, I do want to take a second and talk about the beginning of the week, this upcoming week. Temperatures will begin to warm back up above average on Monday and Tuesday, helping to set the stage for some severe weather into Tuesday night and Wednesday. Although we are still a few days out from the event, the National Weather Service is confident that we will see a severe weather outbreak across the southeast. The current forecasted environment is perfect for sustaining supercells and multiple strong tornadoes across the region. However, we won't know specifics until closer to the end of the weekend. Make sure you are staying weather aware over the next few days and stay tuned to Vol News on social media for updates as we get more information. That's all I have for your weekend weather update. Now back to Lily and Jackson at the desk.
Thanks, Emma.
Every February, the University of Tennessee's largest student-led philanthropy happens on campus.
This event is called Volthon, a dance marathon program that raises money for East Tennessee's Children's Hospital. Our Alexa Durbin spoke with Volthon's president about how they did this year.
One group of students are truly living up to the volunteer creed. They are the members of Volthon, UT's largest student-led philanthropy, who are dedicated to raising money and awareness for the children of East Tennessee's Children's Hospital.
It's really special being able to see the impact that we've made on our kids and their families. Watching them be able to grow into who they are today, knowing that I played a small part in that is really special.
Isabel Ponder has spent the last 4 years giving her all to the cause, serving as Volthon's president for her final year.
I was treated at a children's hospital back in Georgia, so being able to be on the other end of that, like I probably wouldn't be in the position that I currently am if not for programs like Dance Marathon supporting that children's hospital. So it's like a little extra special for me just because of like what I've been through.
This year, the event celebrated 30 years of being a dance marathon program. For 12 hours straight, participants hear the stories of miracle kids, compete in fundraising games, and of course, dance. Raising over $2 million since they started, Volthon brings in organizations all over UT to help.
The smallest gesture or even dollar amount can go a long way and make such a huge impact, and it really just gives us all a new perspective and serves as a reminder that the University of Tennessee and just Knoxville as a whole is a huge community coming together to support a big cause.
This year alone, the event raised over $270,000.
The experience of being part of Volthon is something that has really gotten special this year. It has become a really tight-knit group of people, a family, and a really welcoming space for anyone that wants to be involved, and I think that'll last past my time as president.
Being a part of the cause and dancing for those who cannot. On UT campus, Alexa Durbin, Vol News.
Over the years, Volthon has helped provide life-saving medical equipment, care items for long-term hospital residents, and more. You too can help the cause and learn more by visiting volthon.org. The Multicultural Greek Council hosted a painting night for sorority members to discuss mental health topics related towards women of color.
The sorority members found that painting was an easy form for all the members to discuss heavy topics, since it is one way to express their feelings. Madeline Gaunt shared why this is important to discuss mental health.
For like women of color to be able to share their mental health, just because it's so stigmatized for us not to, whether that's because of culturally or just because like society kind of downplays our pain in different ways like that.
MGC plans to continue hosting a safe space for their members. Their next event is this upcoming month for men of MGC to play a tournament of pickleball. You can continue learning more about MGC events on their Instagram, UTKMGC.
One of the most dreaded weeks is upon us as midterms are here.
Maggie, how can we prepare for these exams?
Yeah, Lily, midterms can be extremely stressful for students. I know they're stressful for me. I got to talk to a UT student and a professor to see how they are preparing for these exams.
Midterms. One of UT students' least favorite weeks of the semester. This is how one UT student, Tim McMiniman, is preparing for his exams.
I try to split it up, studying and doing active notes. Some nights I'll sit down for an hour or two and just write down the same old notes so I can get a little bit better grasp on the terminology, and then other nights I'll sit there and look at those notes and just drill it into my brain as much as I possibly can.
When I spoke to Trenton Mirabal, a graduate teaching associate here at the University of Tennessee, he gave me some advice on how his students should prepare for his exams.
So I think that the main way to prepare for at least my midterms is going through the lecture material, because I try not to surprise students with like brand new material. So most of the material on the exam will come from directly from the lectures, but I'm teaching with a textbook, and so there is some material in the textbook that can be helpful as well. But I also record all my lectures, and so if students benefit from hearing those lectures again, they can rewatch the lectures.
And sometimes you need that extra study stack to push you through.
I like Fig Newtons, which is weird, but I do like Fig Newtons.
In Knoxville, Maggie Shortking. Full News.
When preparing this week, make sure that you take breaks, Eat some snacks and you'll excel at all of your exams.
Thank you, Maggie. I know for me, my favorite study snack is a combo of black coffee and Cheez-Its. Just personal preference there.
A lot of students on campus have a rescue dog, but the College of Collaborative and Emerging Studies is working with an entirely new breed.
They are robot dogs and are probably smarter than your typical furry friend. Our Grayson Thatcher tells us more.
I was going to skip class, so I mean, until she said that we were going to have this here, I came and I was like, yeah, I want to see that in person, so I thought that was really cool.
The College of Collaborative and Emerging Studies is working with a new type of companion.
It's a robot dog, and it's cheaper than some purebred dogs at $2,000, and it has some similar features. Heidi Herben, an associate professor with the college, invited the dog to her Game Crafters class for students to work with.
I thought that it was pretty amazing that it could do so many of the things that it can do and so many of the things that it proposably will do.
The dog is a newer technological development that works with AI to be both a companion and a second set of eyes.
We saw that it could read, like, my tattoos today.
Begging the question, what else could it do?
I actually think it could be a good idea for service dog-wise kind of thing. I think it would actually be really smart because service dogs, let's be honest, they're biological animals.
But not being a biological animal does have its faults.
That kind of emotion and empathy is a little bit lost for me personally. I think that that's something that I question a little bit.
Just technology's crazy. It's growing so much. Like, this is really cool.
In Knoxville, Grayson Thatcher, Vol News.
Dogs are currently designed for companionship, but the college hopes to do bigger and better things in the near future.
Sadly, that is all the time we have you for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lily Van Allsburg.
And I'm Jackson Berg. Make sure to follow us at TVC News Now and have a great weekend. Go Vols.